Howdy everyone, Nimby here. Today we're going to be tying up a couple more black hole demons, and we're also going to do up a black hackle peacock, which is also commonly called after the fact a water wagon. It's a very simple fly, basically just peacock and black hackle with a weighted body. And we might even move into some midges. We got a black, might even move into some size 20, like super small black midges after that. 16 through 20 is what those ones are going to be tied on. So if you want to watch some minute, tiny stuff, we'll see how my eyes are doing after a couple hours of tying the bigger stuff. Just getting some material ready here. I've been tying the big hole devils for a couple of rotations here, but kind of just been having shorter streams, so I haven't got too many of them done. I'd like to get half a dozen of those done before moving on to the next. Most flies I tie, I like to do about half a dozen. It really just gets you, lets you know all the mistakes that you're making on the flies and where you can get yourself better and what have you. So our first step on a black hole devil is going to be the tail, and the tail is just used one of these badger spay hackle. Hey honey bunny, that's my lovely wonderful wife joining us. Unfortunately, she's stuck in one of the most lovely hotels in Vancouver right now. We're going to measure out our tail at about a gap height here. Trying to get all those fronds to behave for me. There we go. And once you got them all collected, we'll just pop them off. And depending on the size of hook you're using for this one, it's going to be tied in as the shank length or the working length of the shank. Realized I didn't actually finish my my thread wraps there. Let's get our thread base done first before we get that tail on. We're gonna bring that all the way back to the barb and do about 3 or 4 thread wraps back so it's hanging kind of mid barb there. I want more. Yeah, that's about right. We'll cut the tag out. Left a little fuzz on there, but we'll be fine. Okay, so we want the tail to be a good length, so the shank or the working shank length, which is our thread time. Either one will do, really depends on the size of your hook you're using right now. I'm gonna go for the shank length on this one. It's a nice long broad tail. We'll get 2 to 3 wraps on it just to make sure it's sitting proper on top. Beauty. Yeah, see how she's sitting just right? I can line up the hook right on top, just smack up there. That's perfect. I'm gonna do one more tighter wrap, and that, as I put tension on it, we'll splay it out and fan it out just a bit for us. There you go, see? This is that really nice flat fanned out look. That'll help it catch some water. Hold it up on the water surface. And end up getting rid of the end of the rachis here, the fluffy bit. You can tie it in if you like, but it's a little neater if you just clip it off and then tie in the tag ends. We'll bring our thread all the way up to the halfway point here. I got a little bit of a thread dip there. I'm going to cover that in when I tie in the tinsel. Where'd it go? Here it is. I got a couple more flies left on this medium strip. But we're just using a medium gold tinsel. Gold on one side, silver on the other. We're going to tie it in with the gold side. Oh, sorry, this silver side facing the hook, gold side facing yourself. We'll tie that in half shank length. The reason we're tying it in that way is when we flip it around, the silver side will be the one that's showing. So you want to tie it in the opposite, but you need it tied in at 3 or 4 wraps at the back, and bring it forward again. Now we're going to work on building up our body just a bit on this end here so it's nice and smooth. And just we'll end it about just a little past halfway there. We'll use our half hitch tool just as a varnisher. We'll just varnish the thread. That'll help it lay flat, so when we're wrapping the tinsel, it won't get all kinky. Give you a little bit better looking body. Nice, quick, and easy thing to do, nothing crazy. And we'll wrap the, oh, actually, hold on. I'm gonna do a half hitch here and we'll get that bobbin out of the way. One less thing to catch our thread on. There we go. He can just hang out in our bobbin thread or bobbin cradle there. Alright, getting too close to the tail there. 1 second. Let's wrap that again. Should be able to put tension on it like this without it affecting the tail. See, it's moving the tail, so I'm a little too close. Try that again. I want to get as close as I can without affecting the tail. Still getting it on that side. Trouble getting that right where I want it. Let's try it one more time. tied it in probably just a hair too close. It's super jumpy. I have to revarnish that spot. Yeah, let's do that. It really shouldn't be bouncing around as much as it is. Something's sticking out. So we'll just go over here again. What? Oop. Kink my tail too much. I'm not seeing anything there, but obviously something's there. If need be, I can throw a little bit of tacky wax on it here too. Hey, Robert, good to have you in, mate. Let me find my... She'll go with a bit of rosin instead of wax. Just a whiff, just a whiff of rosin on there to help it stick. That will also fill in any whatever micro niche I'm not seeing. It looks smooth to me. You're dying to fall asleep. Yeah, that's the best thing to do. Alright, let's try this again. See if I can get it to go just right where the tail is there. Get that? Yeah, that looks much better now. I must have had a thread wrap out of the way. Alright, that's much better. It's amazing how much sometimes just one single thread wrap can throw you off. Actually use some more of that sticky rosin. I should make some more. That stuff is super old. I could use some fresh stuff with a little more tack to it. Well, that has its purposes, being as old as it is. It's very light tack, which in a lot of scenarios is what you're looking for. So that's nice about it too. Now we'll just tie that off in the middle here. Just a little bit past halfway on the hook. Just bury that in. I'm just going to fix this thread base up a little bit. It's not going to matter a whole lot because we're just putting chenille on it, but there we go. Straighten you out. Come on, behave. There we go. Hey, Ruben. Good to see you, man. I was just watching you tying jigs earlier. You were doing up the golden yellow ones I like. They look like money. And Glacier Shark's in too. Hey, good to see you, man. It's also in your stream earlier. You have any luck with the Kings there? I had to bounce out for a bit and get the kids together. Curious if you had more luck on the big flasher spoons, or if you had more luck on the what do you call those? The ones with the big, the white and blue skirts you had. Starts with an H, but the word's escaping me. Hey, thanks, Glacier Shark. Appreciate that. First super of the day. Thanks, mate. It means a lot to me. Honest. I had a hackle ready to go, and of course I put it down, and now I can't find the thing. There we go. Not sure if this one's going to be a hair too long or not. Oh, that'll work. That's pretty dang close anyway. It's just maybe a half size too long, but it's in the ballpark. Some of these have this beautiful, like, burnt kind of umber color to them, which I wish there was a little bit more on the feather like that, but and Valhalla's in. Good to have you also, mate. Oh, Valhalla, if you want, I'm not sure if he's willing to give you tips at another point or whenever he's able to, but if you're looking for tips for selling off of live streams like we were talking about last time, Ruben's probably your man. He's been doing live stream sales for a long time. He's really good at it, so you might want to hit him up if he has any advice for you. It might help you out. I'm sure he's tried and failed and succeeded more than the rest of us. And we're just going to be tying in some black chenille. Sorry I didn't hold her up for you guys. Just your standard, this is Netcraft. See if I can back it up enough. There we go. I'm not using the ultra chenille though, I'm using the one on the back, which is just micro chenille, so one size up from ultra. You can get away with black wool or really anything you got. This is basically just creating a nice thick thorax that the badger hackle is going to sink into. Just going to fluff this up a little bit. Floofy, floofy, floofy. We're going to start our first wrap on the tinsel. So we're covering up that little first bit of tinsel. And we're just working our way up front. Just going to redo this. I seem to have a bit of a lump there. Not sure why. Thanks, Glacier Shark. I appreciate that, mate. Oh, cool, you got some of Ruben's jigs too. Yeah, with the tariffs right now and our mail service is completely kerplunked, so we got no postal service for who knows how long. So I've completely shut down any shipping or anything because there's just, other than paying ridiculous amounts for Pure Later or what have you. I'll wait until they get their strike over with and we get our postal service back. But who knows how long that's going to be. Now we're just going to use our rotating bobbin. It's called chenille. It's basically just a flexible pipe cleaner. It's basically if you made a pipe cleaner and instead of using wire for the middle of the pipe cleaner, you just use thread. But it's basically the exact same thing. It's just a flexible pipe cleaner, tied up and manufactured in the exact same manner. A lot of beginners will start with pipe cleaner. Problem is, it's not as flexible as you think it is. It kinks really easily. You can use it, and there are a number of flies that actually call for it. But like I said, the downside is it's generally cheap steel, so it work hardens extremely easily and gets brittle, and it'll rust like no one's business. So I'm sure you are aware of the differences in cheap and decent steel. Pipe cleaners are not made from anything decent, generally. Oop. One thing I dislike about this rotary hackle is it catches every once in a while on itself. And we're just following up in front through the spiral that we made when we were wrapping the chenille. I'm just gonna move my pliers ahead a little bit here so we can get a few more fronds on that last wrap. Kind of figured that might happen. Yeah, let's try that again. Got a little too greedy. I wanted another half turn on of it. We'll try and grab it low enough that I can get that. Just wanted that last like half wrap to stick out. Not sure if it's gonna give enough grip. Well, I'll give it a shot. I'll be super gentle. And I'll just do one less turn on the rear. Catching again. Okay, I'll try it with the other hackle plier here. So I'd like to get that, just that little bit extra length out of this. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to grab it further back. I'm trying to grab it on the actual fibers and not the rachis, and that's my problem, is it's slipping. But you should generally always grab it on the actual rachis, which is the middle part of the feather. There, I got it now. But by doing that, I kind of clump up the end, as you can see there. So I'm missing a bunch of hackle fronds. So I'm actually, when I'm wrapping, it's stopping back here, even though I got this end. But anyway, we'll do one less wrap on the back here, and it should be long enough to make it all the way to the end. Really? Come on, buddy. Okay. Stay put. Okay, I'm just trying to follow that chenille back up. We should be good this time. Looks like it's gonna behave. There we go, that's what I was looking for. And now don't break on me right when I get you tied in. Behave yourself, come on. There's always like one frond that just wants to misbehave. I don't want to crush this stuff too bad. Alright. Oh, I'm gonna have to just tie them up and clean them up. There we go. The problem with that strung section I got is the hackle size I need and the length is like just long enough to make these flies work. So it doesn't give me a lot of room for error, but it works. We got her on there. Excuse me. Are you taking off, Robert? Okay, no worries, mate. Have a good night. Sleep well, eh? It's not midnight here yet. It's only 9. Got a ways to go to get to midnight. Alright, there we go. Beautiful and poofy. I like it. I'm gonna make the head a little bit thicker on this guy. It's supposed to have a little more prominent head. We'll try and not get too many fronds tied in there. Yeah, we'll get 2 half hitches in to get a whip finish, get some head cement on that. I got 1 or 2 more of these to do, and then I should be done that pattern, and then we'll move on to the black hackle peacock, which is very simple. Great pattern if you're learning. Super effective because it imitates so many aquatic insects. But it doesn't have to be flashy and crazy to catch fish. at all. And the nice thing too about it for beginners is it only takes two. You can tie the whole thing with just two types of material, which is just black hackle and peacock, which everyone should have. I mean, if you don't have black hackle, there's nothing saying you can't use like a red rooster or a furnace or a dark colored badger, or really anything you got. The traditional pattern calls for black, just because most insect legs are generally darker. In this case, with this fly, everything is nice and white and poofy because we're going for like an emerge shuck adult fly. Spin her up here and get that cut off. Come on now, don't be a toot. Where are you hiding? There you are. Thanks, Valhalla. Pleasure, mate. Yeah, I really need to start stocking my Etsy up and everything too, but you're right, it's a hassle when they take 30%, and it's a lot of work to take the pictures and post and all that good stuff too. Yeah, that one turned out good. There's one little fiber sticking out. I can see right there on your guys' side or on the head there. Let's get that popped out if we can. There, totally nitpicking. That's just a little tiny guy. Absolutely not going to have any effect on it, but I may as well clean her up if you see her there, right? My eyesight's still good enough to see it, so I may as well make it as good as I can. One day I'll be older and fartier and not even able to know that I made any mistake there. Managed to get a little bit on the hook eye there, so just gonna clean that out. Whoop. And we're just using a racus quill from an old piece of hackle. Works good for cleaning it because if you do get any on there, it'll stick to the racus and go away. If you use a bodkin, it just bungs up your bodkin. But that's a beautiful little splayed out tail. I'm really happy with that. Right amount of fronds, nice shiny body, big poofy forward face, and this is still technically a palmered thorax. That's going to move a lot of water and sit nice and proud. Okay, glad you're still here, mate. Yeah, Robert, take off. Still happy he popped in, though. We're just going to rotate that for a minute here just to get some that head cement drying even. Thanks, mate. A little bit of talent, a whole lot of patience, and a whole lot of practice. Like anything else in life, right? You do 10,000 of something, you get pretty good at it. And if you don't by that point, you're probably not going to. Let's see what I got. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're gonna do. I think I'll get one more of these guys done, so I got an even 5. We'll toss them in the giveaway. I like to make sure people have a decent number or something. So if you like it or don't like it, then you got either some that you can complain about or some to keep using or find a replacement. Always one for you, one for the trees, and one for the fish. Normally get my hooks out ahead of time. I didn't do that today, so I'll have to dig in the box each time. There we be. This will be our last one for this one, and we'll move on to some of those black hackle peacocks. Those I can whip off pretty quick. Come on. There we go. And a nice thread base in there. I'll work our thread base right back to the barb there. I always seem to put the feather down and not find it. There it is. This the one we're using? Yeah, this is the one we're using. These make excellent tail fibers, and so they're really... You can see how stiff these are. Especially like the farther up you go, the stiffer they are. Beautiful stiff fibers for a tail. Hey, Showflies is in. It's the tree gods. You must sacrifice to the tree gods. No more ant army. No. I finished, actually I didn't finish them. I should finish them. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Where did my ants go? There they are. And there's a couple there you can see I didn't get the wings done on them, so maybe I'll do those up if I'm bored tonight, because I got some grizzly there. Ooh, speaking of nice tail material, hold on, before we tie that in. Since Showflies popped in, he might enjoy this. I have not even opened them yet. Oop, that's the wrong one. Although, I'll show this too, because it's a beautiful iridescent green, kind of peacock colored squirrel dubbing that I'm excited to try out. Where is it? Here we go. Look at these beauties. They're probably the most expensive, one of the most expensive feathers I've bought. They come right from, there's only 12 feathers in there. But some proper cocktailion. Look at the modeling on those. Just gorgeous. For doing nymph bodies and stuff. Where did these come out of? Or was it France? Oh, in the Netherlands, yeah. Yeah, the original, like, proper cocktailion feathers. Absolutely gorgeous things. Can't wait to play with those and tie some stuff up. Those are gonna be, when I got time to concentrate. At like, more than $2 per feather, they're gonna turn into a good amount of flies. I'm gonna make sure I use them up. Sorry about that, so sidetracked. But they were purity, I wanted to show them off. So we're gonna get our gap length there. Looks like I need a few more fronds. Yeah, that'll probably do. Let's put a gap length. We'll just hold them. Boop, just pop them off. Yeah, getting feathers into Canada has been exceedingly hard. So when I saw those in the local fly shop, I grudgingly picked them up because I might not see them again for a good long time. Yeah, we're going to tie that in at the shank length here. But yeah, the point of showing those was that these, besides having that really cool modeling effect on them, is much cheaper. I get my thread to cooperate. Come on. There we go. This much cheaper saddle hackle, which is just a cheap. Well, it's actually vintage too, but you know, it wasn't an expensive genetic bird or anything even close to the sort. Has a lot of the same qualities as that, you know, $3-4 a feather, crazy expensive bird. So you can make do with really simple. And I'm not sure if it's showing up on the, maybe a little bit on the camera, but they have like a very cool, like almost glass, very transparent, translucent quality to them. I want to spread these just a hair, but I don't want to back them down too much, so I'm going to try get one tight wrap just at the base here. I can get them to spread. Yeah, it's a little better. There we go. Just lock that in with a couple wraps. There you go. You can see they're spread out now. Spread a little bit on the left side more than I wanted. Just work them up a bit. Well, I guess they want to be that way. They're gonna just stay that way. I'm not gonna argue with them tonight. Not sure why they don't want to spread out, but they don't want to spread out. We're gonna tie down that tag end and work our thread forward. I'm gonna try and keep it fairly clean so I don't have problems with the thread or the tinsel bouncing around again. Yeah, that feels nice. Just gonna pre-burnish it quick here. And I don't see any problems, but last time I was catching on something. I think I went maybe one thread wrap. Oh, that seemed to fix it. Okay, well there we go. It's nice and bushed out now. I think I went one thread wrap back too far past the hook point now that I'm looking at it. That's probably why it's not splaying out the way I want it to. If you go too far, if you get too close to the bend on this side, they'll have a tendency to cock downwards and not flare for you properly. It's important you want to tie them in with your last couple wraps on the flat of the shank before it makes the corner. Wondering if I can get this. That's gonna be enough. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be close. Let's do it. I could tie this in closer to the back, but if I do that, we're gonna have an uneven body and it's gonna leave a lump. just gonna spin my bobbin. If you're having trouble wrapping material in and your thread is kinking away from you, if you spin your bob in the opposite direction of the kink, then it should move the other way. See, now it's actually grabbing it. Before it was jumping forward on me, now it's grabbing it the other way. Pretty straight actually, so that's good. You can see now it's not trying to go all over the place. That's a handy tip, because a lot of times you'll just be fighting, it'll just drive you nuts. So every time you wrap your thread, you're adding twist to it. And you'll see a lot of, oh, I don't like to say professional tires, but see a lot of tires that tie off, and when they're done their wraps, they'll spin their bobbin. It's not a bad habit to get into, it's definitely not necessary, because a lot of times I'll be talking or doing other stuff and the bobbin will spin like this as I'm talking and get the twist out. If you're tying really fast, just give it a little twist like that with your fingers, and then you should be able to take the twist out without much issue. Got a cat hair stuck in there. There we go. Come on. Forever being plagued by cat hair. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be kind of tight, so I think just judging by eyeballing it, I think we'll be okay, but not a lot there to play with. Let's actually, yeah, before I do that, I'm gonna do a half hitch here just to get this out of the way. Keep everything from kinking up. Hey, Dustin's in. Sorry, man, I didn't see you pop in. Let's see what else I missed here. Oh, I missed a bunch. Ah! Sorry, guys. Wasn't paying attention to the chat. What does the thin wire do under the black wire? Well, the one's my thread, and it's just an 8/0 regular uni thread wax, nothing crazy like your standard fly thread. And this one here is actually a tinsel, so it's pretty much exactly the same tinsel like you'd have on your tree in the 90s, right? And it's really not any different. It's just a mylar plastic tinsel. Traditionally, they would have actually been tin, and I do have some tin tinsel kicking around, but I'm not going to pull it out right now. But it's just what you'd expect it to be, thin tin wire. But this is just mylar, it's actually plastic. Hopefully that answers your question there, Val. Let's see what else I'm missing on here. That's true. Fall is the tying season, as Dustin pointed out. It'll be a lot more people tying. I kind of tied just the same amount almost all year, to be honest. But a lot of people hit up their in the fall and fill all their boxes and everything. Yeah, I know. Sorry, showflies, cat hair everywhere. My cat loves to hang out with me by my computer here. And she'll sit on me and sit on my shoulder, and I just get cat hair. She has this like fine, wispy, poofy under fur that gets on everything. Oh, Valhalla, I don't know if you've seen him. What's his name now? It's Saul. His first name's Saul, like S-A-U-L. And he's a smith that left his job too, not too long ago, to do full-time blacksmithing. He's from, I can't remember if he's from Ireland or the UK, in that area anyway. But I've been watching his shorts and really enjoying his stuff. and he's been making a lot of. He does more trinket blacksmith work, where he's making small, like brooches and pins for cloaks and flint and steel strikers, that kind of thing. He doesn't make like large item blacksmithing. But you might want to. Yeah, Soul Forged. Yes, thank you. That's him. His first name is Reese. I'm sorry, I didn't know his first name. I thought it was just Soul. I just assumed. Yeah, if you know him, he's really cool. I've really enjoyed his shorts and his material. He just seems like a really honest to goodness, down to earth dude. And he's working really hard on a traditional forge, and I have a lot of respect for that. So it's definitely a lot harder. I'm wondering if I should trust my hackle pliers or just wing it with my fingers. Dude, just stay. Stay. Getting around that point without damaging the mylar can be a bit of a pain. Oh, did it again. Come on, buddy. Just hold still. Yeah, like I just did there as I was talking about not doing that. Since it is basically just a thin sheet of plastic, you don't want to rub it against the. Lost my hackle pliers right when I was holding on to it there. Unfortunately, these hackle pliers don't have the best grip anymore, because they're quite old. These ones are actually my mentor who passed away's hackle pliers, so who knows how many tens of thousands of flies he tied before I even got them. But I need to kind of refinish the face on them with a file, just clean them up. They got a little bit of a high spot, so they don't grab quite as well as they used to. Yeah, we're good. We'll make it. But yeah, Soulforge. I'm happy that you've seen him. Dude is awesome. I really like his messaging. I like how he talks. Like I said, he just seems like just an honest, down-to-earth, hard-working guy that really cares about his craft as much as the people that he's making stuff for. I wish him all the luck. I think he's a little bit more active on the Facebook side of things. I seem to see him more often on my Facebook feeds than I do on the YouTube feeds. There, just gonna tie that off. You think he's too big to notice? I don't know, man. It's hard to say, because I really don't know. Like, he's got a decent following, but he seems to be pretty active with his community. I haven't reached out myself to him, but I see, like, he seems to interact with people pretty well. Hopefully you can get in touch with him, though. Like, you two seem like you'd hit it off great. Oh, he's got quite a bit on Instagram. Yeah, I have an Instagram, but I don't really keep that up as much as I probably should, to be honest. Okay, time to pick a new wrap and hackle. Let's see if I can find one the right size that still has some badger in it. This particular bird, the right sized ones are on the white side. Ooh, that looks like a nice one. That'll work nice. See if you're the right size. So what I'm doing for anyone that's curious, doesn't know about sizing hackle, this one's actually small. Yeah, you're actually, oddly, I wasn't expecting that, but that's a couple sizes too small. What I'm doing there is I'm wrapping the hackle around the hook. Some people use a hackle gauge, which is really just a metal post or wood post, and then having spirals around it so you can gauge how wide your hackle is. I like to do it just right on the hook like that. But yeah, feel free to use a hackle gauge if that's your thing. Actually, this one might work. Come on out. This one might work. It's a little bit on the shorter side, but it has some barring in there, which I like to try and get. That's a little better. Excuse me. So what we're trying to do here when we're gauging the hackle, depending on the type of fly you're tying and what you're trying to do, whether it's floating or dry fly, is if you pull it up on the shank like this, you can see that it's about a shank length and maybe a half. And I'm trying to get between a shank length and a half and 2 shank lengths, or sorry, gap lengths, which is that. The length between there and the hook point. And the length that you have here, that you need here to make it a dry fly, is determined also by the length of your tail. So I know that my tail length is measured by the shank length. So I know that it's the same length as the shank. And we want to have a 45-degree angle from the end of the tail fronds up to the top of the, well, kind of where the top of the hackle is going to be. So by putting it on here, come on. Yeah, by putting it on here, I can see how far they go down, and I can make that imaginary line from the bottom of the hackle fronds up to the tail. And if I got a 45 there, or not, actually it's not a 45, but like if you had a, like in my drafting square, like the, that would be what, 32, 35, I think is the correct angle. But you want to have that angle there so that it'll sit on that angle in the water and have just on the bottom of the hook, or have the hook just in the surface of the water. That'll keep it as buoyant as possible. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked on that, so we'll strip this off, get this moving. Yeah, that's how you measure out hackle. And the reason I don't use a hackle gauge, if I was going to tie up like gobs of something and I had like a bunch of random hackle in a bag, and I wanted to save myself some time, then I could use a hackle gauge and actually size them ahead of time. But then I'd have them in several piles, so I'd have like my 10s here, 11s, 12s, so on and so forth. And I could grab the one that I need. So if I did this and I measured it, and it was a little too small, then I could grab the next size up or next size down. You totally don't need to do that. It's more for production tying. Because if you're just sitting there at your bench tying your own flies up, there's nothing wrong with playing with the feathers and getting them the right ones, or even getting one a bit oversized or a bit undersized. It really isn't going to make a whole lot of difference when it hits the water. And since you're the one using it, no one's going to tell you any different. Well, they might. But they shouldn't be. Alright, so we're just going to tie that in just right back to where our thread stop is on that. And I left just a hair room. Probably should be leaving a little bit more so I get about half a wrap in before the fronds start. Excuse me, I'm just going to get a drink here. Talking so much. Thank you, show flies. Yeah, length 1-2 pitch. I'm trying to think of the proper term for it, but when I was a draftsman, we had 2 squares we used more than anything. And one of them is a 45, like a regular right angle triangle square. And then the other one is a 2-to-1 square, which gives you about a 30, whatever, 2 angle. Excuse me. Throat is just not super happy tonight. Kind of inhaled my tea there. What? Okay. Now we're gonna tie in our chenille. I probably should have actually showed that. Do I have another piece kicking around here? I'm gonna undo this here, and because Valhalla was asking about that, so let's just undo that, and I can show them what we were talking about earlier. So really, all it is a bunch of fluffy material that's tied in between 3 or 4. In this case, just 2 because it's just a regular. But you can have up to 3 twists, and you can have a 4 twist, which is basically 2 of these twisted together. So just 2 pieces of thread, and then they cram a bunch of material in between, spin it up, kind of twist knot it as they go, as it's being packed in there, and exactly the same as you'd have with a pipe cleaner, right? Except you just have 2 pieces of wire instead of these 2 pieces of thread. So to tie it in, we just take our fingernail and just pull off the fluffy bit, so we end up with just a little bit of that thread sticking out, and we just tie in the thread, and there's no point in tying in the fluffy bit, because it's just going to give you a lumpy tying point. So get a nice clean tying point, go back. I'm going to make this, didn't really get my thread all the way down there, so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit here. Not sure what I did to not do that, but apparently I didn't. Excuse me. Blah. Kind of breathed in at the same time. I was trying to drink my tea, which doesn't work well. Tea is for drinking, not breathing. Ironically, it's really tasty tea too. Alright, now we're just going to take our chenille. We're going to do 1 wrap. Oh, moving our hackle around too much. There we go. Just on top of the last wrap of the silver mylar. We're just going to work that forward, just touching wraps. And we'll end it right there. And we'll get 2 wraps in to bind it down in front. Bring it around behind. 2 more wraps. I'll do that one more time. That's not going anywhere. A lot of people might say that double wrapping, like I have a habit of doing, might be a bad habit. I'm not sure what side of the fence I land on, to be honest with you. As you get into more advanced patterns like a quill Gordons or things like that, where you need a real fine body, or if you're into chironomids, then yeah, it can be a bad habit. I like to double tie off everything just so I know for sure it's not going anywhere. I want a little bit more durability in the fly. But if you get into those more advanced patterns, then I have to constantly remind myself not to double tie things off, because you want everything to be as clean as possible. Like every thread wrap counts where it's supposed to be. But on a fly like this one, don't matter whatsoever. Throw your extra half hitches in, do whatever you need to do. Let's give the rotary another try. See if it's earned its spot back yet. I'm on the fence on whether I should. Sorry, just catching up on chat with Stardusted there. We'll probably be in the first fight in the morning. Thanks, Dustin. I needed that. Yeah, you shouldn't let him get away with that, man. Like, if he's messing with your tools, you need to put your foot down, take a stand. You can't put up with that. I feel like it should have been right. I'm trying to find the path for the chenille there. Maybe it was back a hair. Come on. Is that it? Yeah, oh yeah, there we go. I just couldn't find the little starting point. It's almost like finding the thread on a cap. If you do a bunch of them, you kind of get used to where you tie in and where they fall. Okay, so same thing. I just would like to get like one more wrap in there. This one was a little bit shorter. Let's see if I can manage this again, or see if we fail. We'll see how we go. There you go. You can see how I adjusted it and I got that couple extra fronds there. That's really all I was hoping for. Okay, so we got it caught off. When you're catching it off, like, that's all you need. I only have not even half a wrap there, and this whole thing's tied off, right? So another, not mistake, but another learning curve that a lot of people have trouble with is when you're tying in hackle. You know, they'll go all ham-fisted on it and put like 15 wraps, and it took me a good long while to learn not to do that. 'Cause, yeah, you don't want your hackle coming loose, right? It's beyond annoying and frustrating. But in the same token, if you get in the habit of doing that, you end up with a crowded head, and that can be just as frustrating. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But the more you can practice just getting it tied in with one or two little turns like that and just catching it just right, you'll get it once or twice and it'll just be like, hallelujah. and it'll make sense to you, and you know, you can just keep working on it from there. But that is a very common problem for new tires, is overcrowding the head, especially if you're trying to tie in hackle. But as soon as you get it once or twice where you can just trust that one wrap of thread, it really just opens it up for you. And I always throw a couple half hitches after, because I don't trust things. I have trust issues with flies. Just gonna throw a couple half hitches in. It's like a save point, right? Because if it breaks, wherever your last half hitch is it's only gonna unravel to that point. So you can kind of start over if you kind of need to, depending on the pattern. And we're just going to do some half hitches here. I should actually start practicing my, not half hitches, whip finishes. I should practice my whip finishes with my fingers more often. I've been relying on the tool. I used to use my fingers all the time. There's nothing wrong with either one. The nice thing about the tool, I find, though, is I trap a lot less fronds in the front when I'm doing hackle flies. You just have a little bit more control, and you can see better if anything's popping forward. So I do prefer the tool for this kind of work for sure, but I feel like I should probably switch back to fingers on some of the other flies, just to get keep back in the swing of things. Give her a little brushy brush before we put some. Feel like, yeah, there's a few kind of stuck together there, so there we go. Nice little pokey deal. Happy little dude. How the algorithm works. The best advice I could ever give you is the algorithm is your audience. So whoever's watching your videos, when you say the algorithm, I'm guessing that's what you mean by algro, or replace that word with audience. Or members, or whatever you want to call your peoples. Your peeps. Because even though the two of them aren't the same thing, it feeds your audience, so it works off of what they do. So the two of them are basically interchangeable. Yeah, that's true. Dustin's absolutely 100% correct. Brian is not only an amazing fly tyer, but he's a guru when it comes to, well, I guess for lack of a better way, is that hacking the algorithm. Yeah, go talk to Brian if he's willing to share with you. You know, he's not only mastered one social media platform, but several, and he's doing a wonderful job at it. And I think he does it in a way that's the more important thing. The way he does it is it's sustainable. Like, he's able to keep it going. Where a lot of people go all hog wild and then burn out and disappear. Right? He's kept it up for, what is he at? Almost a year and a half, 2 years now, I guess. Closer to 2 years. Oh yeah, Dustin, go right ahead. I mean, if he hasn't run into Brian yet, he's going to at some point here. Yeah, I haven't heard Brian talk too much about like his strategy stuff on his lives, so I don't know how much he's willing to share on his lives, but I know he takes very, you know, a lot of pride in what he does that way, and he definitely knows what he's talking about. So I think Dustin is 100% right that if you want to talk to someone, he's the guy to talk to. And I trust his opinion a little more than someone that's actually running a channel that's on that, you know, because that's what they do to make money is try to sell you stuff. But in Brian's case, he's just tying flies. I'm just gonna spin this for a minute just to dry up that head even. Yeah, it's Flysmith. You can go check out his. He's got his own website, and I think was it Shopify store, I believe. Yeah, like Showfly says, like you need to, and maybe Brian can help you with that because I know he's because he posts like shorts regular and on several platforms with different formats, and so he obviously has methods down, you know, to get it down right. But like Showfly says, if you can't keep the upkeep, then it'll fade away, and there's not much point in starting. Where did I put my cork? Oh, there she is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we got 5 here. Yeah, that'll be good enough for a giveaway. 5 flies will work. I'm all set up to like. I got a ton of stuff I want to give away for you guys and do some fun giveaways during the streams. But with Canada Post being on strike here, I gotta hold off on all that. I was all ready to go with a bunch of stuff. Yeah, hopefully Brian will help you out with that. I'm sure he will at least give you some tips on it. I'm sure he's got some, you know, trade secrets that he's not going to hand out to everyone, but yeah, he's the man when it comes to that. He's grown faster than, well, in the fly tying space anyway, faster than any channel I've seen. Even just in general as a channel, he's grown incredibly quick. Yeah, show flies is correct. When you get to that level, it kind of has to become your full-time job, right? You can't just go on vacation for a week and expect it to keep going, unfortunately. The thing with YouTube right now, like this is just my personal opinion. Like I've been on YouTube for what did I just hit? 7 years, 8 years, somewhere in there. This is just be my personal opinion on the matter, because you know you could sit here talking for weeks on the subject. There's whole channels just dedicated to that. YouTube's changed a lot in the last year, so a lot of the advice that you're gonna find out there from someone that isn't necessarily active, like Brian is, might not be correct advice anymore, because it's just not only the algorithm, but just the way people are viewing YouTube now has changed so much in like just the last 6-8 months, that a lot of the advice you'll find on YouTube is, you know, older advice from when people watched more on their phones and stuff like that. Like a lot of stuff's moving to TV. There's lots of changes coming for live streams and all the new stuff they put out. Like I don't know how many it was, 22 new updates coming in the next like couple months here. 3 years. Okay, sorry, Stardust. I was trying to think because, ironically, like I was his, what was it? I was his 186th subscriber on YouTube. When I subbed to him, I remember he was like pretty small at the time. It was like right when he was starting his channel. But I know it was like somewhere between 2 and 3 years. Just time goes by so quick. And it was just random. He just like, one of his shorts was up and I was just like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. I've never seen him before and like I'll sub him. And then like 8 months later, he just exploded. It took him a little bit though, like it didn't happen overnight. He definitely had to put some work in. Just gonna switch this up, guys. So we're gonna move to a size, what are we doing, 12 on this, I think? I think I'm gonna go with a 10. Because I don't have a lot of black hackle that's gonna work well with an 8 or a 12. Yeah, let's do 10. And if my eyeballs are still working, once we get these done, I'll do some tiny arse size like 22 midges. Not sure why I decided to save those for the very end of the night when my eyesight's starting to go, but you know, make it happen. Alright, I'll have to switch thread and stuff when we get to that too. I'll switch to like some nano silk or something really small. Okay, so I'm going to start tying point. I call it a third, but it's really not a third. Basically, it's going to be a bobbin width from the eye on this fly. I like to do that for flies where I'm doing a soft hackle, because when I'm tying in the soft hackle, it's going to be up in this range, and I want to keep that clean. So this will give us, that's basically where my body is going to be ending with the peacock. And we're going to do a full wrap all the way back for thread. For a couple reasons. One, we're going to be tying in some lead. And there's kind of two schools of lead tying in. I'm in the short bus school of lead tying in, where I like to tie it on top of a thread base. A lot of people will tie their thread or their lead directly onto the hook shank. And there's nothing wrong with that, I just don't do it that way. I find, especially if you're casting, like I used to do a lot of creek fishing and river fishing, and with the current and it banging around on rocks and stuff, I used to have the lead twist and then the body would twist. So if you're tying something where you have a weighted body and the body is segmented, where you have a thorax and a middle and you have segmentations, and the thorax twists because it's catching more water, then your whole fly looks like someone literally just, you know, cockeyed it. So I found, after playing around with many different variations in that, a thread base like this will stop the lead from, and the weight that you're using from, spinning on there a little bit better. And if you're still having problems, like you're really rough fishing it, or the materials you're using are just slicker, you can add a little bit of head cement to it, or super glue, or what have you, just to stop it from moving around. Sorry, I just had to go get my lead. This is, what are we using? Aught 10, Aught 1. So, small. That's a pretty fine lead. See it there? Just gonna catch up on chat here before I start focusing my eyeballs on the small stuff. Yeah, I wish. Oh, this late at night. I got an energy drink, so I'm hoping that'll keep me perked up a little bit with the tea going. Don't do the energy drinks a whole lot, but it's a long day today. I was up really early getting the wife to the airport. Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can tie this in. If you don't mind wasting a bit of lead, the easiest way is to hang on to the tag end. Start it right over top, so I'm kind of kinking over top of where my thread is. And I'm back from the edge, because you don't want to go right where your tail is going to get tied in. And then start wrapping. And what that'll do is that'll give you purchase on the tail end with where my fingers are holding on to stop it from spinning around the hook. If you have an old bobbin like this one, and you can just put your lead right into the bobbin and it'll let you tie it on there nice and quick and you won't waste as much. Excuse me. One other thing you can do too is when I cut these off, I have a little lead deal that I just keep all my little lead cuttings. Not only is it safer because you don't want chunks of lead floating around, but you know, all those little chunks you can use. There's lots of flies where you only need a small little chunk of lead, or you want to add a little bit of weight to something, you can reuse that. Or if you're melting stuff down, you can do the opposite and just melt her down. As I was talking there, I totally just mucked up because I should have kept that tag end on there when I did my first wrap here and then kept some tension on it. So this would have wrapped in a little cleaner. But, you know, live and learn. We're gonna just keep going. So the first wrap I'll do up. Nope, that broke off. That's okay. But of course it fell right into my garbage can and a bunch of feather scraps. A completely different side note, just since we were talking about old bobbins. The reason that this bobbin, I just marked it with some Sharpie so I know that it's a toasted bobbin. I wrecked this bobbin using GSP thread. So if you're using a gel spun or GSP thread, it's not abrasive, but it's sharp like a Kevlar thread is really bad. And it'll, as you're tying, if you're always tying with your bobbin in the same rotational direction, your thread's always going to be pushing on one end of the, or more on one end of the tube than the other, and it'll wear a groove in it. And all of a sudden, if you switch back to regular thread, it'll cut your thread as you're wrapping, and it'll drive you nuts. And I had no idea about this because GSP was new to me at the time. I tied with nylon for years and decided to try some GSP. And I was like, oh yeah, this is good, but I tied like a couple dozen flies and it just cut a groove right into the steel of this bobbin. So this bobbin's toast now. So I just use it for lead. But that's a good thing to know. If you have GSP thread, see if I can find my bobbin. There we go. Ugh, the dozens of bobbins. If you have a GSP thread, you want a bobbin like this one that has a brains not firing on all cylinders. Not fiberglass. It is porcelain. Thank you. Has a porcelain or glass tube. It looks like plastic. It's just really finely polished porcelain. And since that is harder than the GSP thread, it won't groove it up and it won't kill it. If you can't afford that, because that is a little bit more pricey, but still not crazy, you can pick those up for 20 to 30 bucks ish. If that is out of your price range, the next option up is to get something with a glass bead in the top. This one's got a standard glass bead, nothing crazy, and then one in the base. See if I can get it to go. There you go. So when the thread's rubbing, it's going to rub on these glass beads again. Being harder than the thread, it's not going to to cut the bobbin up. But I was incredibly surprised at how it just absolutely destroyed my bobbin, because I've been using those. That's just a cheap, Indian-made bobbin, nothing special. Hey, so back to what we were talking about with tying the thread in. We chased it all the way up through the spiral, and that's going to fall in between the spirals. So it's going to tie into the thread base that we created. So as you're wrapping it through the spirals, it's not really grabbing the lead, it's getting in between each one of those. And as you do that, it'll slightly spread the lead out, and it'll bind into that thread base layer that we put in there. So if you want this to not move at all at this point, you can put just a really white, like light whiff of head cement. I'll do that anyway. I wasn't planning on doing it, but you just put a light little whiff of head cement, and that's going to sink into all those cracks in the lead and into that thread that we did. And you want to do that with a head cement and not a varnish, because the head cement will actually soak into the nylon, into the thread below it, and it'll just harden that all up. So now that lead's not going to be able to move back and forth or spin, because the thread between it is all glued together. So you basically created like a screw along the body out of the thread that's now solid once the head cement dries. When you're going back, you want to do about 3 to 4 turns up front. That'll lock this in there and stop it from pushing forward. And then when you're going backwards, you're going to back wrap. So now we're going the opposite spiral direction that the lead was going forward. And now we're going on top of the lead and not in between the lead, because we're going the opposite twist that the lead has. And that's really all you got to do. And when you're at the back part here, like I said, I would have done this up a little bit different if I was paying attention, but I wasn't. And that's really all you got to do. Nothing crazy. You'll see a lot of people just bury that with, half a spool of thread. Which is a different, you can do that. You can totally take that technique and just go at it. But I feel like it's a real waste of thread if you're going to be putting other stuff on top. The benefit of doing it that direction, where you're just gobbing it with thread, is if any of this breaks, you'll end up with almost like chainmail links coming off of it. So this method works a little bit better for soft lead like I'm using here, where it doesn't really work hard and as bad. If you're using, like you'll see Brian or a lot of other tires use electricians' soldering wire. Now there's a couple things to be careful of with electrician soldering wire, especially if you're new and you're not really paying attention to what you're buying. Oh, take care. Thanks for dropping in, mate. Always good to have you in the stream. Always appreciate your questions. Yeah, check out, hit up Brian. I really hope he helps you out with that. I know you're really committed to making this work. Hopefully he'll be able to help you out, man. I think Stardust is correct. He's the guy to go talk to. Sorry, get back to the wire. I don't have a lot of lead-free wire. I have a lot of lead. There's environmental reasons for not using lead. There's personal reasons for not using lead, and medical reasons for not using lead. It's just what I've used for forever, so I still use it. There's no downside to using lead-free, really, like when you're boiling it down to it. Unless you're going for a really small, tight fly where you want an even small body like this. Like this will weigh about a third or more for the same girth as a lead-free, because lead-free is basically tin. Most of it's tin. Like most of the lead-free you're gonna find contains no lead, or it's a 63% tin to amalgamy is the other metal. Sorry, but we'll get back to the things to watch out for. So you've all seen, I don't have any kicking around, but a spool of lead solder that you get at the store. You want the thin stuff. But the vast majority of solder that you find in the stores now is a rosin solder. So it's a rosin core. Well, it's not really like a core, like a tube through the center, but it's actually like 4 to 5 tubes, almost like it looks like if you cut it and look under it with a magnifying glass, it almost looks like an orange, where you get the lobes. And the rosin inside, yeah, tin copper. Yeah. You can also just use like you can use copper. You can use copper wire. It's just you're just adding weight to the fly. Yeah, if you're just buying like tinning solder, a lot of times it'll be resin or rosin. It's I'm not sure if the actual English pronunciation was resin or rosin. Probably rosin, because they used to originally use like birch resin for it. It has the rosin core in it, and the problem with that is the rosin is very caustic, and you won't see it when you're tying it in. It just looks like wire. But after it's been on there and it's been in the water for a while, that rosin will leak out and it'll just disintegrate your fly. Like it's literally an acid, right? So if you tie a whole bunch of those flies up, you won't know for weeks or months until your whole fly box is leaking and your flies turn to goop. So it's something to keep in mind, because the vast majority of lead-free solder has rosin in it. So definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, tin copper alloys, another one. There's a gob of different alloy makes and everything. Excuse me. Oh, I got that tea down the wrong tube and it's just been bugging my throat all night. But yeah, if you can find some like true rosin-free thin wire, like a O2 or so solder, buy a big spool of it and you'll have it for a long time. Okay, so for this guy, for the tail, we want black hackle fibers. You can also use black calf hair. Do I have a calf tail kicking around here? I have one over in my feather box, or I don't think I have one in this drawer. I'm sure most of you know what a calf tail looks like. Looks a lot like a squirrel tail. But that would be the other option, is just a black hackle feather. This one actually might be a good size. We might hang on to you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll keep you for a twisty hackle. Get another one of your friends here for a tail hackle. For the tail hackle, I prefer it to be on a little bit more on the stiff side. Yeah, so for most of your flies, you're not going to use these guys a whole lot. If you're looking for a softer, I'm just holding up this is a whole cape, so can't really get it all in the shot, but you get the idea. Your best feathers, let's get in the middle there. Best feathers for tails are going to be these guys. These would also be really well used for streamers too. So if you're doing streamers, you're only going to get a couple dozen of these right on the top. But you want them from the center section of the cape, because your rakuses are nice and straight. So when you tie these beautiful big guys like this onto like the side of a streamer, you're gonna have a nice straight feather, and you're only gonna get like this strip right here for that. So you might want to save those if you do streamer flies. You're only gonna get, you know, a couple dozen out of the center of a cape there. For the sides, is the farther you go to one side or the other of the cape, the more the rakuses will bend left and right because they're hanging down the side of the bird. And they're not as useful for streamer flies because you got to kind of fight with them because they'll have a twist to them. Let's see if I can get one out of here for you. Go like right on the side, see if we can get this twistiest one. Watch me pull out a perfectly straight one just because I'm telling everyone this. Yeah. So these ones will make good tail feathers because they just have less use compared to the straight ones. You can use them for a bit more, so they're generally better to save. If you're only doing tails though, so you can see this one here, I'm holding it straight and it's curving pretty heavy to the to that side that came from that side of the cape. So if you're trying to tie this in on like a streamer, it's going to always curve up or curve down. And depending on the streamer that you're tying, that might actually be a helpful thing for you, but you can see how much I'd have to really adjust that. You can adjust these somewhat with like a steam kettle, and you can run the rakus over your fingernail on the back side, which will help because this also has a cup to it, where the ones on the top won't be nearly as cupped as this. They'll be a lot straighter. But you can run your nail along the rakus edge gently, just like you'd straighten or you'd curl, you know, a party ribbon to tie on a balloon. You can do the same thing. But basically, the whole point of that, me going off topic there, is just to point out that the ones on the sides of your cape have a little bit less use than the ones in the center. You wouldn't, unless you're not tying streamers with them and you just don't care. If you're going to be cutting up and using them for tails, the ones right on the edge of your capes here are going to be kind of the most useful for things like tails and legs and that kind of thing. Because it's not you're not using the rakus on those at all because you're pulling the fibers off, so it really doesn't matter any. They're also going to be, compared to the top, they're going to be a stiff barb, but they're also going to have a lot of movement to them on this, specifically this chunk of the feather here. As you go up, it'll get much more stiff until you get up to the top here, and these fibers will be quite stiff. So these ones work the best for this section, and the top's like your best section for dry fly tails. So if you're making some wet flies and some dry flies, you can use these, save the tip from about here out, and put those aside for your dry flies. If you want to get the best you can out of, you know, every feather you got. Otherwise, just use it up and get another feather. Because even a small cape like that, you're going to get probably several hundred flies out of it. But, you know, if you're trying to maximize your material, that is a good trick. I'm just cleaning this guy up. We'll get our tails out of him. And for this fly, I'm just gonna hang on to it here, because I'm gonna keep that top together. And I'm just gonna pull down, and then promptly drop it. Alright. And the main reason we did that, just to stick the fronds out sideways, so we can get our gauge for how many fronds we got. You'll get the hang of this after a while. You won't even need to like look at them or count. We want to have a gap length again for this one. That's a good measurement for if you want a sizable tail. I always grab just a hair more than that for the first one because these bottom fronds are always a little bit thinner and a little more flexible on the middle and top. So pop that off. So that way when you have a whole bunch of them laying in your box together, they'll look a little bit more uniform if you grab a little bit more on the bottom. Okay, we got our black shot of tail there. Now this one has a little bit more of a stubby tail. I've seen lots of people tie these out big, but excuse me. It's supposed to imitate a nymph, really, or a lot of different water invertebrates. So we're not going to do a full shank length like this. We'll do about half. I'm just going to choke up on that. So for half, we're going to go right about here. And that'll be our tie in there. And I do want to keep it kind of on top, but I don't want to go back too far either. Yeah, just like that. So you're not really imitating a tail so much as you're imitating breathers. So about half a shank length is perfectly fine for like a nymph style tail. I'm going to only bring this up to the lead and then cut it off. That should give us a little bit smoother of a body transition. And we can bury the cut tag ends here in a sec. And I'm just going to go back up again. I'm going to kind of double wrap it. So we're crisscrossing our last thread without dropping in there too much. And we'll tie in the peacock. Hey, Vilgrons! Sorry, mate. I'm concentrating on my tail and not looking at my chat. There. So you want to have a slightly downward tail. So you're going down a bit, because all the nymphs back end breather stuff will do that. It won't shoot straight out. Oh, you're going, yeah, that's right, you work late, don't you? I used to do that, mate. Enjoy the night time. Oh, man, I worked night shift for a long time. Thanks for dropping in, though. I appreciate it. Yeah, and crafting wire works okay, because a lot of times, like show flies blot up there, like you're just adding weight to the fly, so you don't have to go crazy with it. It doesn't have to be anything specific. The only thing I would caution against is rosin core wire, which is extremely common for soldering wire, just because it will wreck your box. And it melts like foam plastic too, so it can just wreck like not only the flies but your whole box. But yeah, like you're saying, craft wire works okay as long as you're not using something that's got too much mild steel in it so that it rusts. You know, if you're using it for a bit and it's your own flies, whatever, give her, you know, wrap it up with whatever you got. You're just adding weight to the fly. Let me grab some peacock here. Just give me a second. Thought I had some out, but I guess I don't. See if I can grab some nicer stuff. You're not really nice stuff, are you? You're more like nymph quality. What do we got here? That's old. Sorry guys, I thought I had this out already. I guess I didn't. Yeah, I got a couple patches here. We'll make this work. Oh, this is a nice beefy chunk of what do you call it? Peacock feather. Look at that. That's like peacock for days. I got several of those. I don't think I'm gonna run out anytime. But it calls for a medium thickness peacock. So, I might go with these guys actually. Okay, so I just got a regular peacock fronds. Oh, this one has a bit of a, that might be a problem. See the kink right there? It feels okay on my fingers though, so I don't think it's gonna snap, but yeah, future casting, who knows? It might be a problem. Okay, we'll run with it here. Like we haven't snapped material before. Alright, so we're just gonna cut off our front ends. This light colored ends that you're getting on the peacock herl is extremely brittle and it'll just break off, so there's no point in tying that in. So we just cut that off nice and clean. One other thing you can do, I'll just show you on the other side here. That's kind of a good habit to get into. Is if you take your fingernail and you run them along your fingernail and pull down, it'll break at its brittle point, like that. So all this would have been useless, it would have broken off anyway. And sometimes it breaks a lot earlier than you want it to, but if it's breaking there, it's too brittle and it would have probably broken when you were wrapping it anyway, so it's a good little tip, even if it can be annoying at times if it breaks really early. And you're like, ugh. Another tip is if you tie it in thin point first, if you want the thicker point like we do to be up here. The other way to do is tie the thicker end in, or the base, in first, and then wrap the other way. What we're going to do is we're actually going to tie it in. Sorry, we're going to tie it in. Thin side, where is it going to be our tying point? Did I switch this around? No, okay. I'm a little bit worried about that kind of kink in there, if that's going to snap or not, but it feels smooth, so it should be okay. So we're going to tie this in. You're going to tie it along the side. And we're going to get it right up. Then we'll do 3 wraps just before the tail. That'll stop it from coming undone. Now what we're going to do is there's a couple different ways you can do this. One of my favorite ways, I don't have any handy and this pattern doesn't call for it, is just to use a really fine copper wire and rib this with a copper wire, and then you twist it up with your frond, and it's extremely durable and flexible at the same time. The other way is you can use your thread, which we're going to be doing from the bobbin, and for this one I'm actually just going to be chasing it with the bobbin thread after. But you can have an extra piece of thread if you want. If you don't want to use your bobbin thread, you can twist it together with your bobbin thread. Or you can even use floss or different things. Because the peacock herl is quite brittle and it breaks quite easily. So you should rib it with something. You don't have to, but it does make your life a lot easier. Like once a fish bites this, it's gonna come apart. One of the best materials I found to rib this with is actually if you have a pair of old USB cables. Cut them off. You'll have 3 wires inside. You have a normally green, red, and either white or black for your 12-volt power, and it's non-wrapped or it's stranded, but it's non-braided, so it'll come out really easily. And it's, as everyone knows from USB cables, they're extremely flexible. So the copper in there is nice and soft. It's not annealed, and it's thin, like I'd say about 8/0. You know, it's about the same thickness as the thread, give or take, maybe a hair thicker. And it works great for chasing stuff and wrapping stuff like that. And it's basically free because everyone's got dead USB cables laying around. So yeah, grab your old USB cables, cut them up. I do have some down there that I could show, but I'll probably do a video on that, how to prep them and get them set up. Because it works absolutely wonderful for chasing stuff. You can't buy it in the fly shop, at least I haven't seen pure copper wire inexpensively that's that thin of a gauge. And it's basically free because everyone's got dead USB cables, you know, kicking around, right? Alright, sorry, we don't want to wrap our thread forward, we want to keep it there. Excuse me. I'm having problems with my throat ever since I drank that wrong. And we're just going to be wrapping this up. And I'm going to keep... Actually, what I am going to do... I am going to hand wrap this, although I probably should put... some hackle pliers on it, but we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to put a very light twist in this, and that'll stop the fronds from separating and spinning separately. And if you pull back, it'll fluff them up too, make it even nicer. There. And you don't want to go crazy twisting it up, because if you do, the brittle nature of it will cause it to get too much of a twist as you're wrapping it, and it will snap on you. I'm trying to fill a bit of a hole there. I can feel this part getting a little brittle, so I don't know how close I want to go. Yep, it just broke there. That's okay. I felt that too. Okay, we are going to save this with some hackle pliers. That's exactly what we were just talking about too. Oh, don't you unravel on me yet. We're not ready yet. There we be. Okay, that's just gonna hold that for me for a second. Okay, so I've been wrapping that direction, so I want to wrap, counter wrap it, so going backwards. We're gonna bring this up, and not only is it gonna segment the body a little bit, but it's going to help hold that hackle, or the, oh buddy, come on, just behave yourself for 2 minutes here. While I get you wrapped up. We'll get you tied off, don't worry. I think we saved it. Try not to bury that in too much. There we go. Yeah, that could have easily just went sproing and just emptied itself all the way back. Alright. Now that I've done that, I think I probably could have gone with 3 fronds. I'll probably do that next time. Those aren't as poofy as I thought they were. But still going to be a pretty fly. Alright, so I was back wrapping it, or counter wrapping, so my thread's backwards from what I like, so we're going to do 2 1/2 inches so we can change direction here. There, that'll stop it from moving. And we can change our thread direction back to our regular. Why are you coming apart? Dude, did I just break my thread? Not sure how that happened. Maybe I didn't get the... Oh, it doesn't matter. It's buried in there now. Don't look at the thread. Okay, I'm slightly less confident now, so I'll throw another 1/2 inch on there. It looked like it broke, but I'm not sure if it broke or unspooled. It shouldn't have unspooled with 2 1/2 inches on there. Either way. We'll get the hackle in. This is just a light soft hackle, so we're just going to be using a black one here. And we're just going to be stripping off all the fuzzy bits, because we're going for just a couple wraps. It's just imitating legs and thorax shuck, basically. You don't need a whole big one, but twice the length of your fly is perfectly fine. So we're just going for a couple wraps. The traditional pattern for this one does call for the fronds to not be longer than the coming up to the hook point. So I'm just going to measure that. And yeah, they're not that bad. It's between the point and the barb, so it might be just a hair on these first 1/2 a wrap or so. So we should be good. It just basically wants you to have the fronds coming up to the point, but no farther. So a little history on this guy. It was popularized in East Washington about 1950 by Art Nicholas from Spokane, Washington. It was formerly called a water wagon, probably because it soaks up a lot of water, and it's really just an excellent all-around, all-year pattern, all species, because it mimics so many water invertebrates. And so it's very similar to, like, say, a halfback. Like, it just works everywhere, especially for trout. Very, very similar to, like, a halfback pattern. But halfback would be a lot more on the nymph side of things. Okay, so our head section on this fly, I probably gave myself just a hair too much room there. I normally like to have a bodkin width for my hackle tying point, so that'll be our hackle tying point, and that'll be our head. And I probably went like a couple thread wraps longer there than I should have, but we'll see how it looks. And for this one, because we're not doing a whole lot of wraps, I'm just going to use the standard hackle pliers. And it slips right off as soon as I say that. Come on, buddy. Behave today. Really? I'm going to try my other ones here. One of these is about 15 years older than the other, and they look the same, almost. The only difference is one of them has a little bit different knurling on the side. They're both Thompson hackle pliers in the 70s, so One of them has a lot more. Yeah, this one grabs a lot better. Okay, I just had my older pair. This one definitely has a lot more oomph to it. Alright, cool. So we're going to tie this basically like a dry fly to start. Just the first couple rounds sticking straight up. And then as we go forward, the other fronds are going to push back when we tie the head to give it a swept back dry fly look, or wet fly look, sorry. And we're going for 3 to 4 total. So that's probably good here. I'll tie that off. You can see those are pretty small hackle. I could get yeah, no, I think I'm okay with that. Could get another wrap out of that, but I think we're good. You're not trying to float this. It's going to be a wet fly. And actually, as it being a wet fly, I'm going to tie some with some hen hackle here next. Once we get this tied in, one frond doesn't want to pull back there. Let's go get it. There we go. I've never seen Dusted ever hide any mistakes. It's hard to hide mistakes when they don't occur in the first place. I'm just going to turn this sideways here so I can get it better. And all I'm doing here is I'm just opening the scissors. You see a little V shape, little V notch. And I'm just putting the hackle into that V notch. I'm not really even like, I'm just pulling back. I'm gonna probably need to sharpen these scissors again, but I'm not really cutting it so much as I'm pulling back and letting the V notch do the cut. You can do the same thing if you have like a cuticle cutter or a stitch ripper or lots of other tools like that that work really well for cutting hackle off. You can take your, been meaning to do this because I did it on a few of my other ones, but you can take your come on brain, your whip finish, and you can file the end down and just file a little groove in the end. If you pound this, you can get a hammer and pound it nice and flat so it's nice and thin, and then just file a little groove in the end. If you don't have a square edged file or a triangular file, you can steal Dusted's, because I'm sure he won't mind, and then you can file a little notch in there and just make it sharp, and then you can just boop, and just cut off thread, and it's handy because you know, just finished tying that off, right? So you're gonna need it. Alright, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pull this back. I get my fingers to work properly for me. And we're just going to work our thread wraps up back. Oh, I got one that popped forward. And we don't need to go a whole crazy, like 5 or so. Still a little bit more, so a couple more, we should be good. And you're not going for a fully swept back, like wet fly. You just want to break that straight tension. So yeah, I did go a little big on the head on that then, by a few wraps. So I'll shorten it up on the next one. But as you're pulling it through the water, That'll pulsate real nice. That's my preference, and as far as I understand from the books I have, the original ones were tied with this black rooster hackle. What is that? I'm kind of scared to pull, and I think I did break my thread. I think that's part of my thread there. Weird. I'm not sure why that broke. But I caught it right in time. Weird. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna make this head a little bit bulbous and round. So we're going for almost like a wet fly head look, where you have it kind of like a coconut. I just dropped my good hackle pliers, are the ones that aren't failing me. Do a couple half hitches here, and then we'll get that. Whip finisher out again. Sometimes your tools, they just, don't want to be on your desk anymore. They just want to hang out with all the cat hair on the floor. I'll do one more there. Yeah, the head's a little, I was kind of thinking that might end up being the case. Head's a little on the big side for me. Which is, really fine for this fly, because it is imitating like a nymph. And I'd like my nymphs to have bigger heads, because they all have big heads. But that's just maybe 3 or 4 thread wraps bigger than what I would like it to be. I'll give it a nice, on this one I'm actually going to get some varnish, and we'll put some nail varnish on it, make it nice and purty. We'll get this soaking in first. Nice thing about using head cement first is it will thin the varnish and help to pull it into the threads, so that you end up with a much more durable head and it won't peel off. I find it actually helps to stop it from yellowing too if you're using a cheaper nail polish. I'm just using Sally Hansen's. Get the hackle just a little bit there. Oops. Don't tell anyone. Shh. Totally didn't mess it up. Shh. It's all good. Totally wasn't on live TV or anything. There we go. Don't ever have to talk about it again. And we'll just use our little rake end here. Get rid of that extra. There we go. Beauty. So next time on the next one here, I'm going to change a few things up. I'm happy with tail. Tail's pretty much exactly where I wanted it for size and shape and pointing down here. Just going to catch up with chat here while we're letting this head cement dry. It's going to take a little bit with that varnish there. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I liked about night shifts. I worked on several jobs that work night shift. Several jobs where I work night shift, One of the benefit is, yeah, you have a lot less people-y shift. The other downside, though, is the people you do get are the night owls, and sometimes they're, you know, a little bit on the interesting spectrum. Give that another minute or so here. Yeah, I know Vilgrim's works. He puts the work in. Oh, looks like my chat disconnected for a minute there, a few minutes ago. I did not notice that. Hopefully the stream is still streaming proper. Connection looks fine. Not sure why that happened. Well, it could be Starlink being Starlink. It's pretty good though. Some tools just suffer from excess gravity. That's an excellent way to look at it. Speaking of which, let me pick up my tools here 1 second. I've had $1 for every time I drop one of those. Got 3 cats. I got 2 cats, and one of them is named Cat. That is his name. He is Cat. And he is a beefy boy that thinks he's a dog. But he's a love bug. I can't say my cats like soda. There's many other things that they'll definitely try to steal from me. Like Cat loves like chicken. If we're ever having any sort of chicken at all, he wants right in on it. He loves chicken. And anything the dog's eating, they share food a lot. I think I might have actually seen one of your cats show flies on one of your, it was a live or something you were doing. I seem to remember you picking up and moving a cat at some point. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it just shows me that it was interrupted, but like I didn't see it blip at all, so who knows. As long as we're all still here, it's all good. Yeah, that guy's almost dry. I can see it. It gets kind of just a light haze to it when it starts to set. Once you get to that point, you're pretty safe to put it into a cork. So for this one, I'm gonna go way thicker on the body. I do like to tie up, like I said, about a dozen of whatever pattern I'm doing, or at least half a dozen at least. And then just playing with the recipe slightly, or the method of tying it slightly. And in this case, just for me, the body's a little thin. So I'm going to go with 3 strands, especially for the peacock I'm tying with. It seems to be a little thinner. Tail's okay. I'm probably going to stick with that for the tail. I like the length and I like that it's firm like that. But I'll double up the body, and for the hackle there, I want to try some black soft hen hackle. So got this Netcraft. Where we go? There we are. Netcraft black, just dyed black, nothing crazy. Soft hen hackle. I'm hoping there's some good sizes. I mean, it's all black, so it's really hard to see. I'm hoping there's some good sized soft hackle we can get out of that. But we'll find out when we get to that point. And then we'll compare the two. If I was in a creek, I'd probably go more this style with the rooster hackle because it's going to stand up that little extra bit and pulse a lot more when you're bringing it through current. For lake fishing though, if I'm still fishing, I'd go more for the hen hackle because you'd want it to be a little more on the flexible side. But either one will work fine. I am totally a dog person, but I've always had a cat too. And cats and dogs are just so different. Cats love you when they want the affection and want the love, and the dog's like always there, whether you want him or not. He's, especially male dogs. Me and the wife were just talking about that. Just trying to figure out where I put my. Oh, there. They're buried under all my peacock. I'm just trying to find my hooks. So we start another one here. We're just talking about how much more loving male dogs are than females. Like, they're just in a different way, you know? The male dogs will... They're just more, I don't want to say loyal, but that's probably the best way I can describe it, where they're all about you. Where the female dogs seem to be a little more on the cat side of things, where they're a little more independent. And they love you, but they love other things. You're just one of their, handful of top things that they love. Yeah, I've had many different breeds and always kind of found that to be the case. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so let's get back to getting this guy together. Where'd my black tail feather go? Here we go. We'll do the same thing with the opposite side. Try and get roughly the same fronds. And then we remember that we're getting way ahead of ourselves and don't even have any thread on the hook yet. And we abandon tying the tail in and return to tying thread. Getting a nice thread base in, getting some lead on there. I'm going to crisscross the thread base a bit there, but I don't think it's going to make no difference. Man, I'm just misplacing all my... There we go. Okay, so same thing, we want to start off here. I'm going to hold a little tag end. Get it to roll for me, there we go. Hold a little bit of tag end. Work lead out. And we just want to break it off right at the most inconvenient spot. That'll be perfect. I'll start over. Oh my god. I got this bobbin set a hair too tight. That's the problem. It's not the lead. But we'll reconnect everything here and just bury it all in. It'll be fine. I'll add all those little lead bits to my lead bag. This time, however, well, it's not going to matter as much because we broke it several times there, so I got little tag ends. We're going to keep our... I can get a hold of it. Come on now. There we go. Just going to hold that tag end. And this time when we're wrapping, I'm going to leave the tag end. And this lets me get a nice purchase on that first strand, I guess. Bled. Again, we're going to go through and we're going to wrap this in the spiral, so we're going the same direction. Don't need to hit every one. You can, like there, it's going to spin. So, it doesn't really matter if you break it like that. Not ideal. Especially since we're going to be putting a little bit of lacquer on it. That should hold it all together. You really don't need a lot. It's not like you're lacquering a head. Like, you just need enough to soak in on the top layer, and it should drag it all the way down. Gravity. Just a whiff. Oh, you go on Stardusted? Sorry, mate. I don't know if I missed you or not there. I was all playing with my lead. I love making inline spinners. I got a whole ton of inline spinner stuff. I really should do that too. Do some inline spinners. I'll probably do more of that. Because I love fishing inline spinners. Like, I mean, I do a lot of fly tying, but for the most part, some of my go-to fishing gear is inline spinners. That's what I grew up tying, or grew up fishing when I was a kid, right? And they're extremely versatile for the fish we have here. They'll catch anything. We're just gonna counter wrap that backwards. And we'll get that base tied in here. I'll counter wrap back up the same way. I'm just gonna kind of extra tie around here. That broken bit in. There we go. So many different ways to do inline spinners. Yeah, I've seen you making your own blades. I think that's cool. I used to have a punch. It was actually when I was making armor, because I used to make reenactment armor, leather and all sorts of different stuff from brigadine to scale mail. And I had a punch for making like dragon scale scales for scale mail. I have to do that again. That one went way too far forward. And I've always wanted a punch like I had for making the scales for making spinner blades. I thought that would have been really cool. I don't know if he's still in business, but I used to get a lot of my materials from what was his name now? He was in Alberta, in Canada here. Oh, the Ring Lord. You know, play on Lord of the Rings, right? But the Ring Lord would sell either. At first, he just started selling the stamps, and it was a single stamp. He hit it with a, 5-pound hammer or small sledge, and pounded it out, and it would make beautiful cut scales, but it wouldn't cut the original first blanks. And then he modified his blanks so that it would eventually cut the hole too at the same time. You'd have to hit it twice. There were 2 steps to it, but it would punch the hole out at the same time. I always thought it would be cool to have something like that, because it's basically the same shape and same idea for making spinner blades. I think that would be really cool. Of course, you can get the big like hydraulic power hammer kind of press thing and just punch out thousands of them. And he moved up to that once people started buying his scales a lot. He moved up to punching them out himself to the point he was actually even selling like his scrap strips. And he started selling them in oxidized aluminum and bronze and everything else. Yeah, I know. I've seen the painting too. It's been so long since I've painted a lot of stuff. I need better paints. I think I'll stick with like a handful of colors, like probably a chartreuse and orange, maybe like a standard red and a white paint. Okay, brain's going a little tired, so we're gonna tie the tail in here. I think that'll probably do right there. Nope, you're the wrong feather. Where'd we go? Here we are. Okay, so that's our tail feather. We're going to take the bottom half again. So we should have a matching tail from the other side. Again, about the gap width. Grab that, pop it off. But yeah, I've been enjoying watching you, prepping your wire, and oop, I dropped some of them. Okay, I'm going to tie this in, see if it's beefy enough, because I mucked that up pretty good. I'm going to add a few more on top here, I think. Let's get this part tied in. Yeah, okay, so I'll get a few more fronds in there. Kind of messed that up and dropped some. Do you find it matters much what kind of paint you use on it? I'm assuming like any kind of auto body paint would probably be fine. Because it should be durable, and I guess your 2 main things would be water resistance and durability for UV. You wouldn't want to use something that wasn't terribly UV resistant or it's just going to fade and look like bunk after. That's a nice tail, yeah, okay. It looks much better with the extra fronds on it now. I'm actually a hair on my side. Let's move it over to your guys' side here. Get one more wrap on it. That fix it? Yeah, that's a little better. It's on top now. Oil base, okay. So I guess if you did oil base, you'd have to do all oil base because you couldn't mix the two. I imagine with oil base, you'd probably have to let it dry a good while, eh? So that it can gas off. Do you do like a clear coat on them after, or you just use like a regular and just let it, like a gloss, and let it go? Three coats of clear. Wow. That's impressive. I mean, I got patience, but I don't know why I don't have as much patience when I'm painting stuff. You really should, because it's like, 90% prep work. Getting a good base on it, and then your main color and your clear on top. But I don't know why I don't have patience when I'm painting stuff. I always seem to try to skip. That's pretty thin. Let's try. I'm gonna try a different. Try these ones. These are old, as you can tell by the Superfly. These are old, as you can tell by the label. Not sure if they go back to 80s or 90s. I don't know if I have a date stamp on here. Somewhere in there, though. I remember buying these a good long while back. They seem a little bit shorter. We're gonna go with 3 though, anyway. Yeah, we'll go with 3 fronds. They look bigger in the package, like they look a lot poofier than when I pulled out. I don't really want to go to 4 though. And they don't look as long. They're definitely denser. We'll try it. Still gonna be a peacock body one way or the other. Now I'm just gonna be cutting off the brittle fronds. And cut off a little bit more. There we go. Alright, and same thing, we're going to be grabbing our fingernail and just moving it back and break off right there, so that's where we're cutting it. Oh, that's going to be a little on the short side. I'll make it work. Might have to grab some more fronds. Yeah, that's gonna be dang short. Sure look longer in the package. I think it's gonna be close. I'm gonna go with the rotary hackle on this one. One other benefit too, if you tie in from the shorter side or the thinner frond side, the tip, as you pull back on it as you're tying, it'll help fluff out the the fronds there. Oh, actually, hold on. We want this back here so we can chase the thread. So we'll just do that. That'll be fine. Actually, these are pretty fluffy. We might be fine here. This might actually work really well. Now that I'm wrapping, it looks like we got some good coverage. Definitely looking better than the first one. Okay, cool. I'll use that other bag then. Okay. Alright, so if we went that way, we're gonna go the other direction. Get around here without cutting my thread. There we are. And we're just back wrapping. You want to try and catch a frond wrap. You know, one rotation, at least catch it in one spot and then move to the next spot. That'll add some durability to the body. Yeah, show flies if you're still hanging in there. Watching you make those spinners has really whet my appetite to dig my spinner stuff out. And I got hundreds of different, you know, like Carolinas and willow leaves and all sorts I need to use up. I don't really want to make it any thicker there. This is pretty brittle, this end piece, so I think that's going to be about as good as we're going to get out of it. This bottom bit here is really not useful for anything. It's too brittle. Such a beautiful feather though. I mean, peacock, anything is magical. Just works. Okay, so we're gonna try that just simple fly. I really should be whipping these off a lot quicker, but no race lights going on. I don't have to worry too much about it. Yeah, the biggest thing that trips me up with spinner making, 6 layers on each blade. Wow. I consider myself to be a patient person, but I don't know why I just don't have patience when it comes to painting stuff. I used to love painting like cars and vehicles and stuff too, and even then it was like, I don't even want to bother with a clear coat. That might work. This one feather just fell off the cape here. But that's what we're going for. Yeah, you look... Well... Nah, you're too long. You have a good tail material though. I'll keep you for tails. It is a hen cape. But it's got like that translucent quality of a rooster in some spots. It's interesting. I haven't tied too much with this specific cape. Trying to find a center hackle that'll be the right length that we need here. I think we're good. Did I get 2 there or what? Oh, I did get 2. Okay. Save you for later then. Yeah, you're a very roostery hen hackle. It's very stiff barbs for a hen. That might actually work well with this because we don't necessarily need a very soft hackle here. That's the cool thing about all the materials. It's all natural. So like every single cape you get is different. No two are alike. Now you're gonna behave yourself and you're gonna get tied in properly. There we go. Stay. Beauty. I wonder if this will work if I do like the standard wet hack. Oh yeah, probably will. Right. I could have actually tied you in the other direction. Yeah, let's do that actually. I think that'll work better. Yeah, while we're on the topic of spinners and whatnot, like beads are easy to come by, right? You get beads anywhere, especially like the right sizes so you can actually use them for stuff. You know, like work your way up so you got a small one to a medium to a large, and then something in the center. That's the part I struggle most with, is deciding what to put in the center. Whether you want to have it like a heavy weight, like say like a MEP style, you know, metal center, or if you want to have like a wedding band center, or you want to have just beads through the whole thing. I would have liked to find a way to make my own. Oh, they look kind of like this, but like the MEP style ones where you'd have like a metal kind of plug in the middle. I'm not sure if there's I'm sure there's probably a proper term for it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where you got that metal cylinder thing in the middle. Yeah, the body. I don't know if there's a proper term for what that is. I'm sure there is, but I'm just not sure what it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull these back together. And I don't seem like they want to play ball as much as I'd like them to, but we'll make it work. So when you sweep and hack like this, you really only need to do it in a couple locations. So that's where it's going to bind. So at the top, and then again at the bottom. Now I'm going to move this back because the head's a little big again, so I'm going to wrap my hackle just a bit forward, like a half a wrap forward. Let's see if we can kind of even that head out a little bit. There we go. Beauty, I'm liking the look of that. Now let's capture that in before it goes poof. We're going to make that head a good size, so I'm not too worried about capturing this in too much. We're going to bury it. Cut off. I don't feel like I got that as well as I could have. There you go. Yeah, I'm liking that actually better than that first one. So maybe these hen hackles are the way to go. Especially this one, they're really quite barbular. They feel more like a soft rooster hackle. They're still wispy, like they're still definitely a hen hackle. Either way, I like that. That's nice. That's perfect. Happy with that. There, the head's a better size now. That's much better. Yeah, that's the part, like, it's an important part of the spinner because not only does it kind of stabilize it and give the blade kind of something to pull against, keeping it in the water column straight, but it also gives you like the weight you need to cast it too, right? So it's pretty important. I guess it's important to get it the right, I guess size for lack of a better word. For like size and weight, I suppose. If you get it too big, and it's gonna sink too fast, and your blades aren't gonna spin quite right. I've always wanted to find a way to make my own centers like that. That's like reasonably worth the effort. It's probably better just to buy a whole bunch of them already pre-done though. But I guess like if you're kind of like Turner and you had like a lead pot set up, you could make your cast your own out of scrap lead. That would probably work. I know the MEPS ones are all brass, but I mean, I don't know if I'd want to sit there on like a turning lathe and actually turn a whole bunch of those out and like, I guess you could probably kind of do that on like a, almost with a drill. Just grabbing the other cat hair off of there. But yeah, if we had like some brass rod, you could probably use the proper word's escaping me, but like for a you know, a turning lathe, right, for metal turning, and then you have the I guess it's a gouge, and you know gouge out the center. They normally have a couple kind of collar wraps on it, right? Must be getting tired. My brain's having trouble with terminology that it shouldn't be. But yeah, gouging out those center grooves. And then you could probably use the same tool to cut it off, so you could gouge out your grooves, cut off the little chunk. I guess if you could find a bar that already had a hole through the center, because boring a hole through, I imagine, would be a real pain in the butt to get it straight. And cutting it out of like just a blank rod of brass probably isn't really going to help you a whole lot, because you got a lot of work to turn it into like a bead basically. Oh, you get, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, of course, you just get the tubing. So if you get like, say, a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch tubing, does it matter? Can you get like different thickness, like wall thicknesses? I'm assuming you can. Well, most things you can, I suppose. You could probably even do like copper tubing too, might be easier. But there's lots of brass tubing. You could probably like, just trying to think for scrapping, because I love scrapping stuff, but like old air conditioners, fridges, that kind of thing that have like radiator tubing. You could probably get a gob of that from radiator tubing. for like free. Because that's almost all brass generally. Or copper. Well, I think more modern stuff, especially in the like 80s, 90s, might be aluminum. Just gonna rotate that, dry it up a little bit. Yeah, super simple fly. That's I'm happy with that example. That's almost bang on the way I wanted it to turn out for how I would fish it myself. There's a small little shut of a tail that points slightly down. You get a little more action with it pointing down like that, but just very slight. So when you're pulling it through, it'll kick a bit. Because the nymphs have little breathers on their butt that shoot water out like a little jet, and that's how they propel themselves. And a split tail also works really well for that too, but in this case we're not using split tail. But yeah, I find a slight downward angle on the tails for nymphs seem to work better than a straight back. Angstrom flies, yeah. I like that one. Super simple little thing. Now I'm looking at the first one we tied. Looks almost like anemic in comparison to it. Yeah, the rooster hackle is just a little too thin. The peacock I picked for the bodies, again, a little too thin. Tail's still good though. I'm happy with the tail on both of them. It's pretty much the same. And the head's a little too big on the first one. So, making progress. I love tweaking them like that, like just making just slight little changes each time to try and make the next one just a little better than the last one. Yeah, if I'm going to change the pattern up, I'd say rib it with the copper wire so you get a little bit of flash in there with the copper rib. I know it's not for the traditional pattern that I've been trying to tie here, but I might end up doing that if I can remember where I stuck my copper. I got gobs of like your regular soft copper. But this is a little thicker than I'd like to go. I like it like real thin for this. It would still work fine because you'd be ribbing it, but I'll have to dig out some of my thin wire. Yeah, the first one had a rough, had a rough go of it, I guess. Yeah, you'll catch fish just fine though. These patterns were, designed to be quick and dirty, and so you could fill your box up fast with them and catch a handful of fish and then toss them, right, or lose them, so you don't have to cry over them. These are definitely like a utilitarian pattern. You're not gonna win Instagram with them or anything. Are you making any of your center beads and stuff up? I've only seen you do the wires and the working on the... Oh man, my brain is just not making the words work today. The blades. I wonder how much a blade stamp would actually cost that you could run with a sledgehammer. Pneumatics just takes too long unless you got a proper setup for it. For steel beads, you know, paint the beads? Oh, I guess you could, yeah, string them. So what do you do? Probably string the beads on like a fishing line or something first, and then paint them on while they're strung up. Or you like powder coat them and then bake them. Okay. Yeah, I guess that way you could keep them from dripping or something, right? I wonder if you need to rotate them or not. I've never painted something like a bead before. Probably the closest thing would be like a jig head. I guess if you're powder coating, it just sticks to it, and then the oven does the adhesion work. I got my brain turning, thinking of different things I can do now. I love coming up with ideas like that with just random stuff. Oh, your shop looked really good, by the way, when you got it all cleaned and organized there. The bench area you're working at. I'm gonna do half length, so that's about here. Yeah, I'll call that good. Come on now. Do like a little soft wrap to get it going there. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I want it down just a little bit like that. There we go. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, it's not so much that these insects have tails, just the tail mimics the exhaust port on the bugs. Boop. Oh no, I forgot my lead. Well, we can still tie it in, I suppose. I don't think that'll hurt nothing. $4,000, nice. That's awesome. Do you do like a live stream like cleaning, or do like a time lapse after? I missed that. Let's go back and check that out. I just seen the aftermath when it was done. I thought it looked good. Live streams, yeah. Yeah, 4,000 good. I'm happy if I get like between 2 and 4. It seemed like, for me anyway, like I don't know, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, it seemed like it was a little easier getting more numbers then. Seems like the last change they put in seems to have dropped the numbers a fair bit. I don't know if they've done some like debotting or what's going on with that. Not complaining about my numbers or anything, just noticed a difference. But other people's channels seem to be the same, so maybe it's just me. Yes, I'm cutting lead with my nice scissors. I know the fly tying gods are gonna strike me down. Heresy. Alright, let's get this tied in. Just put some pressure on there and get some cross wraps. Bind the cross wraps down. And we're good. Helicopter that off. And let's wrap this right up through the grooves. Yeah, in either case, I've been really enjoying you making the spinners. I'm surprised there isn't more people actually making spinners. Maybe it's because it's more time consuming, because it definitely takes a good bit of work. Like, I mean, you could throw together a junk spinner pretty quick, but I mean, to get something decent together, it's a process. Especially if you're painting stuff. You got the, you know, recovery time, the dry time. Oh, I forgot the... Oh, must be getting tired of making more mistakes now. Guess that makes sense. I've been up since like 3 in the morning. Just gonna let that soak in a minute. Should have done that before I did the cross wraps back and forth, so it's gonna take a minute to dry now. The inline guy. That's kind of cool, actually, mate. That's a cool little tagline. I like that. Show flies, the inline guy. Yeah, because you really don't see a lot of people making spinners. I mean, you get lots of the, you know, the bait tires. You get the glide bait guys. I mean, yeah, that's very true. I didn't really think about it that way. Like if you're talking like Turner's channel or Rubens or whatever, right? Like I guess it is a process for them too. They got to pour the heads, they got to paint the heads, bake the heads, you know, cure the heads, put the eyes on if they're going that far. So I guess like hand ties, if you're going all out on the hand ties and making them pretty, then it's kind of the same thing, just in a smaller scale, I suppose. Yeah, I hope you get like I'm honestly excited to see your whole setup once you get that going. When you can start like almost production lining it a bit, you know, and trying different patterns. And the other thing that really interests me is like just finding random ways of getting the, you know, scale patterns on there, or like, you know, all the gobs of different things you can do to make them pretty. That part's cool. Like people do with the glide bait painting. Yeah, there's lots of people that do glide baits or hand ties, but like maybe it's just my feed. I really don't see people doing the I really don't see people doing the spinners, which I figure is weird because it's like I feel like, again, it's feelings. My feelings tell me that spinners should be a popular thing because they work with so many different species. I'm gonna go one step up on this one. I might make this too fat, but I think I'm gonna go one step up here, and I'm gonna over hack this. So taking off like a good chunk of the brittle here because I'm not gonna tie that in anyway. And the same thing, cutting off the other side. We're gonna go with 4 strands this time instead of 3. And it's all tight. I'm gonna see if I can grab some. Actually, it doesn't matter because I'll tie it in after this step. I was gonna see if I can get some of that fine wire. I would like to do one with some fine wire on it. Okay. Well, yeah, it looks like we got just enough in there to make it work. One second. Don't mind me bending down here. See if I can grab some wire. I think I crammed some right in the front here. Nope. Got gobs of it, just trying to remember where I set it down. Hmm. You know what? I just had an idea. I got a piece of super fine kind of mylar here. Let's see if I can get that out. There we go. It's basically a hair extension or hair glitter mylar. I've never tied some in, so we're gonna give that a try. And it's actually kind of peacock color once it gets up there. I'm gonna tie that in. Ironically, it's kind of got a peacock bluey green going on. It's like a rainbow. But that would, I don't see why that wouldn't rib well. I imagine that would work perfectly fine. Never tried it though, so we're gonna try it. Don't see why that wouldn't work. Okay, so we're just gonna have it sitting in with the peacock curl there. And we're just gonna lightly spin it. Nothing terribly crazy because we don't want to over twist it. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. It's not as, oh, that's gonna look pretty. Dang. Not sure how much this is gonna show through with the. Oh, it's separating now. 1 second. Let's unwrap you. Oh, ah, no. Why are you caught? Don't get caught. Just wanted to unravel it a couple wraps there so you could retwist it on here again. Not sure why it untwisted so quickly. Dang, that's pretty. I like that. Not sure how that's showing up. Oh yeah, you can see it on the camera. Look at that like little bit of color fleck coming through there. I'm not sure how much that's gonna really come through once it's all wrapped, but I guess we'll find out. Oh, the happy little accent. Yeah, just some random little scrap piece I had floating in my drawer there. It's like, hey, let's use you to do something. And like they are plastic, right? They're basically like a plastic thread, it's just mylar. But it's crazy how strong they can be, because they'll stretch quite a bit before they break. So when it's just chasing in like some peacock to strengthen it from coming apart, that should work really well. That's cool. I might play with that some more on some other patterns. I like the way that looks. Yeah, it's just like a fine, not sure if the color change is going to show up. You see the yellow there, and then it kind of fades to like a blue. Colors aren't really coming out on the camera like I'd like them to, but kind of like an oil slick, kind of peacocky blue to green coloration. Yeah, I mean I could counter wrap it and have it show up like an actual rib. But like when it's twisted in like this, you just get like the odd little random fleck of color like that, and that's really neat. I was not expecting it to have that kind of effect to it. It's almost like a it almost looks like a holographic chenille or something. That's really kind of cool. I was not expecting that. Alright, I'm gonna stop fanboying about my hair extension peacock, but that's pretty. I like that. It looks really cool. Camera's still picking up the colors. You can see the blue and green there and yellow on the back end. Yeah, it's popping a little more for me in real life light, I suppose. Oh yeah, let's get this tied in with another hackle here. Now we're just gonna use that, cut the tip off, tie the tip in. And we're just gonna spin our bobbin because it's twisting the wrong way almost. There we go. Come on now. Okay, we'll get a half hitch in there. Yeah, maybe I'll play with that a bit and just try ribbing it with one of those. The only thing is I'd be a little worried it would kind of sink in too much, but who knows? Maybe it'll look great. It's hard to tell. Sure, I'll get one extra wrap in. It's always that last wrap that's real pita. Nope, not quite. Oh, I'll have to capture right there. Flipping around bobbin was not ideal. That's okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna clean up the head here. Line those back a little bit. It's a much better sized head on this one too. There you go, making a little progress with each one. That's always good. Yeah, that's even better than the last one. I'm happy with that. It is kind of fun to just tweak them a little bit each one, you know. And then after you've done about a half a dozen, you can finally land on what you like best out of all 6 and put it into one, and then you can work on consistency and do another 6 that all look the same. Get some head cement on there. Yeah, overall, I'm happy with that one. That one turned out nice. Man, those colors under there, though, they just like give it some pop. I know it's supposed to be like a really kind of basic fly, but dang, that added a whole nother dimension to it I was not expecting. That's pretty cool. And it's a weighted fly, so it wouldn't matter if I would have used actual wire for that. But the Mylar tinsel's light, so I don't have to worry one way or the other. Yeah, that's substantially better lengths and everything there. Yeah, let's go with just a whiff. Just a whiff of nail polish. I don't know if I can get it on there without getting it in the... I do need to modify these brushes and cut them a lot thinner. So I only got a few strands so I can get in tight places like that. Keep forgetting, I haven't done it yet. So let's just hit that up with, where'd my strand go? There it is. Let's hit that up with this just to make sure I didn't get any in there. Well, there's a little bit. There we be. Yeah, you can just see that color just kind of popping through. That's pretty neat. I really think that would make it, my brain's saying, you know, fish would like that. That's pretty cool. Just gotta rotate that for a bit here to get it set proper. Oh, it's always good to have different suggestions, mate. A lot of times you get stuck in the same patterns and like I would have never really thought of using thin mylar to chase it like that, but I really like the look of that. I think that's really cool. And it didn't, the thing I like about it is it really didn't crush the peacock too much. Like if I wrap over top of it, a lot of times you'll just completely cave the peacock in and it won't be poofy like that anymore. But I would definitely be willing to try it though, just to wrap it with that and see if it looks even better. I think this is my last one tonight, though I planned on going a bit longer, but like I said, I've been up since 3 in the morning. Ugh, so I'm almost at like 24 hours and could use some sleep. That's beauty though. I like that one, right? Definitely better than the first one. It's comparable to the second one. The head's a little nicer. I like the tight little bulbous round head. Tails are all good. Happy with tails. Yeah, I think that one's my favorite out of the lot. So, It's always good to get like a little improvement on each one, like I was saying. That's makes my little heart sing. Yeah, I like that one the best. So as long as they're getting better and not worse. You know, that's the progress that we're looking for. And like, I don't know. I don't even know if you could say better. It's just what I'm shooting for, I suppose. There not really is. There isn't really a better. It's all personal preference. Oh. Yeah, I'm getting pretty bushed here, though. I'm gonna have to call it a night and catch you guys in the morning. I appreciate you hanging out with me, Show Flies. Always a pleasure, mate. Hopefully I can catch your next spinner debacles. I'm excited to see how that goes with the, watching you cutting and shaping and stuff. But I'll be excited to see the painting too. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it, mate. Always a pleasure.